Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about something I've been wanting to make a video about for a while. This is mainly for the Bark River Facebook group, Bark River Knives. Um, but I'm going to post it on YouTube as well, so maybe some people will find it informational or helpful. And I always see a lot of talk about EDC for a Bark River, fixed blade type knife. And before I really got into Bark Rivers, I never really EDC'd a fixed blade that often. I would carry a Mora, clipped to my belt a lot if I were planning on being around the woods or something like that. But now I carry a fixed blade every single day, whether I plan on leaving the house or if I plan on going on a hiking trip. I carry a fixed blade no matter what. And I wanted to share a few of them with you because I believe right now Bark River is probably the best knife maker for making high quality knives in a lot of profiles. There's a lot of really good knife makers out there, but they don't produce a great amount of designs and profiles at a high amount where you can get them very easily. And the ones that do produce a ton of models tend to be lower quality knives. I feel like Bark River is kind of right there in the middle, and it very high quality, they're available, and they have a lot to choose from. And that's just profiles. Handle materials are a whole nother thing. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of handle materials for every single model, so really the options are endless. Now these are the ones that I've picked. I've owned a great deal of Bark Rivers. I'd say almost all of them under 5 inches I've owned, or at least played with. Pretty much every model. There are probably a few that I'm overlooking, but the most popular ones I've used. And these are the ones I've decided to keep, and for a good reason, obviously. So we'll go ahead here and we'll start from smallest to largest, and I'll tell you just a little bit about them. This one here is the Bark River PSK in LMAX steel. Very good steel. Now one thing you're going to notice about all of these knives, they come in what I would consider a super steel, not an A2 or an O1. And I believe that's a really good idea because a knife this small should hold its sharpness very well and be very tough because of how small it is and generally how thin the stock is, the stock of the metal. With all that said, it does make them be a little bit more expensive. I'm not going to quote prices because prices always change, but I'm going to say it's under a certain amount that's more than it, so you get an idea. Under 150, definitely. Now I picked that up used, but it was brand new. Okay, and then this right here is one of my favorites. This is a little carver, and this is in CPM 3V, which is quickly becoming my favorite steel of all time. It's a very nice steel. It performs extremely well, and this knife I like because it has the handle of a little creek, but with this different blade profile that I prefer over the little creek. Actually, after I got this, I sold my little creek, so just a preference. If you like the little creek, fantastic knife. Now this next one is a Bravo Necker, and it has removable scales, and that was tan micarta. This is more of a canvas, or not canvas, a camo G10, or I'm not entirely sure, but it's a micarta or a G10. And this one comes in a sheath with a magnet built into it, so you can carry it around your neck, and there's no chance of it falling out whatsoever. I really like that knife. And I do carry it with leather around my neck because I'd never want to really put paracord around my neck too much, because if I were to get caught up by it, it would choke you. So use leather, or if you use paracord, use a keeper on the end so it can break free. Now this next knife, a lot of people consider this the best or their favorite EDC knife from Bark River, and it's a very good knife, no doubt. It's not my favorite though, for a few reasons. One, this is not the sheath that it came in. It came in a sheath much like this one, but I kind of just like the knives on my belt more than around my neck, so this is the type of sheath that I'm using. And this is the Adventurer in LMAX steel, and it has this little finger groove right here, finger choil I suppose, with some jimping on the back, and with that you can get a full grip on the knife. Now I prefer knives I can get a full four-finger grip on. This knife I can, but where it's that metal piece and there's actually no handle material here, it's not extremely comfortable for long-term carving. So that's really my only complaint with it, and why I wouldn't say it's my favorite Bark River knife. Alright, so these next knives or what I would consider more of a medium-sized knife, not an extra large knife. And a lot of these knives really are small, but this is kind of the size of knife that I prefer. These last three right here. And I don't own very many big knives at all, really. I'm trying to think. Let's see what I might have one right here with me. Okay, so this right here is actually the largest knife that I currently own. This is a Bark River Mountain Man. This is the smallest one that they make, which is 5 or 5.5 inches. I can't remember. This is the largest knife that I own. You know, I have a Aurora and a Bravo and all that stuff, but you know, they're more the 4-ish inch blades, and I just don't really like knives over 4 inches. Personal preference. I've never really found a need for one. With that being said, though, these knives right here are the ones that I find to be the most useful. And I carry these on bushcrafting trips. I carry these on hiking trips. Sometimes it's the only knife I take. This knife, I'm not entirely sure how well it'll perform yet, because I haven't tested it out. It's very, very thin, but it is CPM 3V, so I would assume it would do well, but it's kind of thin, so I don't know how well it would work for batoning and things like that. I got this knife for hunting and to cut up game and butcher game, so that's what I'm going to use it for. But like I said, these last three right here are the size that I prefer. And for the longest time, this knife was the one that I carried all the time. This is an ultralight bushcrafter, and I'd say if you could only afford one Bark River knife, buy this one, because it does everything so well. You can bushcraft with it, you can cut up food with it, you can baton, you can do everything. I've hiked many, many miles with this knife as my only cutting tool. It works just fine. I did replace the sheath with one of these sheaths that more like a pocket style sheath, so it slips down your pocket, which I prefer even when I'm hiking, because the sheaths that hang outside your belt, if you're walking through brush and stuff, get scratched up really bad, and you could ruin the knife or the sheath. Alright guys, so on to what I would say is my favorite knife Bark River makes, especially for EDC and you know, EDC type tasks, as well as woods crafts. You know, this knife right here, I actually have two of them because I like it so much. I had three, I got down to one, and now I'm back to two. So it's my favorite knife, and I figured I might as well keep two just in case they quit making them. And that would be the North Star EDC, which is a fantastic knife. Have it in two different handle materials right here. Well, colors, they're the same material. This is well, they might be different materials, but they're synthetic, I suppose I should say. They're not a wood handle. I sold all my knives with wood handles because I've broken so many of them. Wood handle, in my opinion, is it's a nice thing. They're nice to look at, they're nice to hold, all that stuff. But if you're going to put heavy, hard use on a knife, I found that a wooden handle tends to break a lot more easily than a micarta or you know, a G10, you know, canvas micarta, linen micarta, something like that. So that's why I've gotten rid of all the knives that had wood, and I've replaced them all with canvas, micarta, G10, you know, like I said. Now this knife is my favorite because I just love the profile. It's really, it does everything so well. I can cut up, you know, food with this. I can cut up anything. I make you know, pine needle tea. I can go gather wild edibles. At the same time, I could go back and start a fire with this. Everything. I can skin game. I've processed game with this one. I've filleted fish with it. Every single thing that you can think of a knife to do with it, I've done, and it does very, very well. And one thing I really like about this knife, this tip is pretty thin, and it works fantastic for friction fire. Best knife, you know, I've ever used for carving friction fire sets, even over like a Mora knife, which was designed for carving, just because this tip is so thin, and you can get in there and clean it out and get a very, very nice set, which is extremely important when doing friction fire. You've got to start out with a good quality, well-made set, or you'll fail every time. And that's why I really like this knife. And funny thing, I don't actually like the North Star all that much, the full-size one. I don't know. It's not that I don't like it. It's just I like this size of knife more. So I went ahead and got the little bit smaller one, and I'm 100% happy with it. You know, if you see me out on the trail or in town, you could probably bet your biscuits that I have one of these right here on me. So that being said, just wanted to share a few of the ones that I really like and all that stuff that I would recommend you get. Like I said, if you can only afford one knife but you want it to do everything, maybe this Scandinavian one, just because it tends to be a little bit better at you know, carving for longer periods of time and things like that. But at the same time, if you want a knife to do, you know, carry and do a lot of things well, check out one of these North Star EDC knives. I know they used to make a mini and then they changed the steel and pretty much just changed the name of it to EDC. And I really like the CPM 3V for a knife like this, like I previously said. So let me know below, either in the comments on Facebook or on YouTube, what you think the best fixed blade EDC knife is from Bark River. And yeah, so thanks for watching, guys.